Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. This morning I was chatting with my husband about an upcoming episode that my co-host and I are going to be recording with the Junk Drawer Mamas podcast, and I will share that in the description. I encourage you to check that out. It's filled with all kinds of great information. We help special needs moms and moms navigating extreme parenting situations and just kind of bringing hope, healing, and even sometimes a side of humor with that. But anyway, we were talking about the upcoming episode of what do you do when you get unsolicited parenting advice? And I was just talking to him about that. And I think everybody that has a child probably has experienced that, one time or another where somebody wants to give you advice on parenting. Honestly, it could be unsolicited advice on anything. It could be unsolicited advice on health or weight loss or whatever. Basically, what it is when somebody says something to you that you really didn't ask for. Because there's a difference between you asking for help and saying, what should I do in this situation? I'm really struggling, versus somebody just giving you advice, whether you ask for it or not, just saying, giving you advice. And sometimes it doesn't always land very well with you. And so we were talking about that. What do you do in that situation? Because with a special needs child, most of the time we're dealing with an extreme situation. Not every special needs child has behavior issues, but ours does. And so we have a lot of issues where somebody might want to try to tell us how to parent her. And sometimes it is good advice. Sometimes it's something that we already do. Sometimes it's because they don't really truly understand what we're walking through or what we've already tried. So I believe that we should probably know what people are going through. Before we ask or give advice, we should ask them, first of all, do they want the advice? And also find out what they're going through. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they've already tried, but try to get over on their side to understand what they're going from that perspective so that you can actually speak, effectively into that situation. Again, if you've gotten their permission to do that. But this particular conversation that we were talking about really had less to do with that and more to do with the health of the mom. And he gave me a really good example that I want to share with you. So when we are in those situations where somebody might be giving some advice that we didn't want to hear, and we get offended or we get frustrated because of that, that really has a lot more to do with our own mental health, our own physical health, our own exhaustion. It depends on where you're at, how many times you've heard that, how many times you felt like defeated because you can't seem to manage that situation. But you also heard this, putting the oxygen mask on yourself. If you are taking care of yourself first and you are healed and whole and healthy, then we can more than likely handle those comments that come at us because we are stronger and able to manage that. So he was using that as an example of if you were to travel somewhere. Let's say you're going to go to California. That's a long trip. So special needs parenting is a marathon parenting. It is not a short trip to the convenience store. This is one of those you are in this for the long haul. So he was saying if you had a vehicle that was going to drive that far, you would want to make sure you took care of it. You would make sure that the oil was checked. You'd make sure that the tires had enough air in them. You'd make sure that your engine was working properly and all the fluids were put into that so that it could sustain the trip that you were going down. I was like, this is definitely some great advice. Because as moms, a lot of times we are just not taking care of our vehicle, which means we're not taking care of our bodies. We're not taking care of our mental health. We're not taking care of our spiritual health. We're not sleeping well. So we are more susceptible to offense when somebody comes and tries to give you unsolicited advice. So honestly, when somebody does that, you don't have to get offended. That is a choice. You could let that just roll off your back and just realize that maybe that person really was just trying to help you out. I understand that there are people out there that want to judge you and criticize you for what they're doing. But even if that were the case, even if that was the situation and that person was just trying to judge you because you didn't have your child in control, so what? That doesn't have to destroy you. And how you can not let that destroy you is by taking care of yourself, by taking care of your mental state, making sure that you're strong emotionally, making sure that you're strong spiritually. Maybe pray for that person. Maybe they're the ones that really need to take care of themselves, because especially if we're just spouting off stuff that is hurtful, then obviously that person is not in a place of peace. So in order for us to be able to really take in whatever somebody wants to give us at whatever time that is, whether we've asked for it or not, then we've really got to be emotionally mature, be strong in our faith. So that means that we have to take care of ourselves. For me, the biggest part of this, honestly, even over the physical part, which I do believe is important, I do believe that sleep is super important. You have to treat that like a therapy appointment, just like your own child's therapy appointment. You'd never miss a speech therapy or a physical therapy for your child. So we have to make sure that we're doing the same thing for ourselves. And sometimes sleep has to be a scheduled appointment. We can't just skim by on that. I know when I'm not sleeping well, And for years, I was in sleep deprivation, and that affected my mood and affected my ability to be able to even handle an extreme situation that I was dealing with Gracie, or even anything, honestly, anybody. I just wasn't able to manage that because I was in a constant state of distress all the time because I wasn't taking care of myself. But the biggest thing for me has been spiritual health, even over physical health, even over eating healthy, exercising, or sleeping well, which are the three main things that people tell you to do to take care of your body. But spiritual health has been the number one thing for me that has made me a strong person, that has made me resilient, that has made me be able to hear things that I don't want to hear and not let it affect me. I can pass it off and say, you know what? Maybe I don't agree with you, but I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I don't let it destroy me. And here's the other thing. I also don't let the extreme behaviors destroy me as much as I used to. And I'm not saying that doesn't still bother me. There are times that I just have had enough of the meltdowns, the defiance, and not wanting to listen. But if I'm taking care of my spiritual health and I'm taking care of that vehicle, I'm putting all the oil in and I'm taking care of making sure that everything is running properly, then those meltdowns that I experience quite often with my daughter don't affect me as much. I can just deal with her instead of me also being somebody that is now in an upset state. So anyway, I just thought that was a really cool example. We're going to probably share a lot of this on that episode that I was talking about from the Junk Drawer Mamas. That's going to be coming up soon. Anyway, I just want to give a shout out to my hubby. Thanks, Doug, for giving me that idea. That was definitely something that I can relate to. You know, we don't want to go on these long marathon trips without making sure our vehicle is in top shape. We want to make sure that we get there safely and, in complete running order. So why do we forsake that with our own bodies and our own minds when we are facing this extreme journey that we're on? It's a marathon when you're a special needs parent, and when you're dealing with an extreme situation, you have got to be strong. You've got to be taking care of yourself so that you can even manage the situation itself, but also be fending off all these arrows that come at you from unsolicited advice or people wanting to try to help you out, even if it is good intentions. Sometimes that can really weigh on you too, but the stronger you are mentally, physically, and spiritually, the more you're going to be able to do that. The more you're going to be able to rise above that and not let that affect who you are or take away any of your peace and joy in the day. I hope this encourages you. It definitely encouraged me this morning. And I want you to remember that the Creator of the universe loves you and He's right by your side. You're not alone on this journey, and He has called us and created us to care for ourselves. Jesus had to get away. He had to renew Himself. He had to have those quiet times away with His Heavenly Father. So if He had to do it, then we have to do it. So anyway, I love you, and I cannot wait for us to be back together again. So please have an awesome day.